all on behalf of Saraswat International Academy. Myself Satish Makwana, subject English, standard 9th English medium. Chapter 2, The Sound of Music, Part 1. Evelyn Glennie listens to sound without hearing it, Part 1. The Sound of Music, Part 1. Evelyn Glennie listens to sound without hearing it. Now, students, the title itself is very interesting. Here, the author, Deborah Colley, says Evelyn Glennie listens to sound without hearing it. Now, we all wonder, right, and we are confused. How can one listen to sound when you can't hear it? Is it possible? So this is something we will discover, that how Evelyn Glennie was able to listen to sound although she could not hear it. So let's see. God may have taken her hearing, but He has given her back something extraordinary. What we hear, she feels far more deeply than any of us. That is why she expresses music so beautifully. Now, someone had commented on her that God had taken her hearing power. Okay, and in return, God gave her an extraordinary thing, and that was the sense of feeling. Now, the story of Evelyn Glennie is a motivational story. Okay, it inspires all of us to overcome our disabilities. Now, that can be mental disability as well as physical disabilities. So we should overcome the disabilities and achieve our dreams and goals. So let's see how Evelyn Glennie overcame her disabilities and achieved her dreams and goals in her life. Rush hour crowds jostle for position on the underground train platform. A slight girl looking younger than her 17 years was nervous yet excited as she felt the vibrations of the approaching train. It was her first day at the prestigious Royal Academy of Music in London, and daunting enough for any teenager fresh from a Scottish farm. But this aspiring musician faced a bigger challenge than most. She was profoundly deaf. So let's see. Rush hour crowds jostle for position on the underground train platform. A slight girl, looking younger than her 17 years, was nervous yet excited as she felt the vibrations of the approaching train. It was her first day at the prestigious Royal Academy of Music in London, and daunting enough for any teenager fresh from a Scottish farm. But this inspiring musician faced a bigger challenge than most. She was profoundly deaf. So the scene is of the train platform. It is underground, and there is a huge rush. Jostle means a huge rush, and people are pushing each other to get way. Now, in this crowd, there is a small thin girl whose name was Evelyn Glennie. Okay, and she was younger than her 17 years, and she could feel the vibrations of the train coming towards the station. She was nervous but excited as well. Why? Because she was leaving Scotland and was going to London at the prestigious Royal Academy of Music in London. Okay, and daunting enough is she was quite scary as well. She was quite scared as well. Okay, why she was scared? Now, first of all, she was an aspiring musician. She wanted to become a musician. But the biggest challenge was that she was profoundly deaf. That means absolutely deaf. Now, moving ahead, Evelyn Glennie's loss of hearing had been gradual. Her mother remembers noticing something was wrong when the 8-year-old Evelyn was waiting to play the piano. They called her name and she didn't move. I suddenly realized that she hadn't heard, says Isabel Glennie. For quite a while, Evelyn managed to conceal her growing deafness from friends and teachers. So, the problem of hearing, no, the problem of listening power was not from the birth. Okay, Evelyn Glennie's losing of hearing power was in phases. Slowly she was losing her power. Now this, her mother remembers an incident where she noticed that something is wrong with Evelyn. Now she was 8 years old and Evelyn was waiting to play the piano. Might be it would be in some competition. When the people called Evelyn, her name, she didn't move. Now at that point of time, her mother, Isabel Glennie, realized that she hadn't heard. Okay, that was the incident. Now after that, Evelyn managed to hide her deafness problem from her friends and teachers. Moving ahead, but by the time she was 11, her marks had deteriorated and her headmistress urged her parents to take her to a specialist. It was then discovered that her hearing was severely impaired as a result of gradual nerve damage. Now, at the age of 11, her progress in school started deteriorating means started getting weak. So at that point of time, her principal, headmistress means principal, requested her parents to take Evelyn to a specialist. And that was a time when they discovered that her hearing was severely impaired. Severely impaired means severely weakened. She was losing her hearing power. Her sense of hearing. She was losing her sense of hearing. And they were advised that she should be fitted with hearing aids. Hearing aids means it's an equipment which the people who are deaf, which are able to listen to less voice, that instrument helps us, the people, to listen properly to some extent. So she was advised to use that hearing aid, that equipment, and sent to a school for the deaf. Now there are different schools for people with disabilities. Okay, for example, there's a blind school, school for blind people. Okay, now there's a different school for who are not able to listen, who are deaf. There's a different school for them, okay, in which they have been taught the sign language, signs are being taught. Okay, they can communicate through sign language. Okay, so she was advised Evelyn to send to a school for the deaf. Everything suddenly looked black, says Evelyn. Now obviously it feels very depressed. We feel very depressed if we lose any part of our body, right? Similarly, Evelyn was feeling very depressed and she looked black. Now she had lost her sense of hearing. So, moving ahead, but Evelyn was not going to give up. She was determined to lead a normal life and pursue her interest in music. One day, she noticed a girl playing a xylophone and decided that she wanted to play it too. Most of the teachers discouraged her, but percussionist Ron Forbes spotted her potential. He began by tuning two large drums to different notes. Don't listen through your ears, he would say. Try to sense it some other way, says Evelyn. So, in spite of in spite of having the hearing disability, she never gave up. She was very determined and had a very good confidence in herself. So, and she wanted to live a very normal life and wanted to pursue means to follow her interest. She wanted to become a musician. Okay, so what happened, she saw one day she saw a girl playing a xylophone. Now what is a xylophone? The picture is given in the textbook. It's a wooden a musical instrument with a row of wooden bars of different lengths. So accordingly, the tunes of the while playing the wooden xylophone, we have different tunes according to the length. So she saw a girl playing the same xylophone and she wanted to play it. But most of the time what would happen is the teachers used to discourage her that you can't play it. How would you play it if you can't, if you're not able to listen, so how would you play a instrument? But luckily she was been spotted, she was been looked by Mr. Ron Forbes, a percussionist. Now what do you mean by percussionist? A person who plays different types of musical instruments. So he saw Evelyn, her determination and her interest in music. So he helped her out to sense the music, not to feel but to sense the music. So how did he help her? He began by tuning two large drums. Tuning means by he started playing the drums, okay, and in different notes. Different notes means in different volumes. Okay, don't listen through your ears, he would say. Try to sense it some other way. So don't listen but try to feel or sense the music, he would always suggest to Evelyn. Suddenly I realized I could feel the higher drum from the west up and the lower one from the west down. So what happened? Gradually she started feeling, sensing the music, and how the higher drum notes, the volume, the vibration she could feel on the side of the west up, like above the west, and she could feel the lower one, the volume, the notes which are on lower side, she could feel below the west. So Forbes repeated the exercise, and soon Evelyn discovered that she could sense certain notes in different parts of her body. I had learned to open my mind and body to sounds and vibrations. The rest was sheer determination and hard work. So by repeating the exercises, Forbes made her to learn how to sense the music, the vibration through different ways, through different body parts. And then Evelyn discovered that she found that she could feel the music, she could feel the sense in various parts of her body, and she learned to open the she learned to open her mind and her body to sounds and vibrations. She could feel various notes, various sounds through different parts of her body. And after that, when she learned the different ways to sense the music, the rest of the part was because of her strong determination and hard work. So after that she had a huge success, and that was all because of its hard work and determination towards her interest of music. Moving ahead, she never looked back from that point onwards. She toured the United Kingdom with a youth orchestra, and by the time she was 16, she had decided to make music her life. So once she overcame the hurdle, the problem of listening to music and all, when she learned how to feel the music, the sense of through her different body, through her different parts of body, she never looked back. Okay, she had a very progressive career after that. Okay, and she toured the United Kingdom with a youth orchestra. Now what is it? Orchestra means where a group of people play different types of musical instruments. Okay, it's a group. Okay, so, and at the time of when she was 16, at the age of 16, she had decided to make music her life. So she dedicated her career, her interest, her life towards music. Okay, and she also started roaming the United Kingdom through with a youth orchestra, with a group of people who used to perform in different places. So she auditioned for the Royal Academy of Music and scored one of the highest marks in the history of the academy. She gradually moved from orchestral work to solo performances. At the end of her 3-year course, she had captured most of the top awards. So she auditioned. Now audition means you give a short performance in front of the director or the producer or the person who is organizing the show. Okay, so you give up a short performance and the director or the producer would decide whether you have performed good or not. So she auditioned for the Royal Academy of Music and she scored one of the highest marks in the history of the academy. She was that good. And she gradually moved from orchestral work. Now before that she was working with the group, then she started working in solo. Solo means single performance. And at the end of a 3-year course, she had captured most of the top awards. So in the 3-year course of her life, she performed very well, and she she had received topmost of the awards. Okay, so now, and for all this, Evelyn won't accept any hint of heroic achievement. If you work hard and know where you are going, you will get there. And she got right to the top, the world's most sought after multi-percussionist with a mastery of some 1,000 instruments and hectic international schedule. So whenever anyone would comment on Evelyn's career that she has done a fabulous job, she is too good. Okay, so she does not acknowledge them. Okay, she is that humble and down to earth lady. Okay, so in return she used to tell them that if you work hard and you know what you want to do in your life and you work hard towards it, you have a perfect aim and goal in your life, you can reach to that particular goal. And with the same rule, she was on the top, the world's most south in demand after multi-percussionist with a mastery of some 1,000 instruments. So she learned around some 1,000 instruments, and she was the most demanded musician, and she had a very hectic schedule, international schedule. People were always used to book Evelyn for their shows. So she had a very hectic international schedule, plus she had done a mastery of 1,000 instruments, and she was high in demand. So students, I hope you all have understood this till this much, the lesson about the sound music, and remaining part we will complete in the next session. Thank you so much.